Yeah.
Good. How are you?
Is the plan still, or the hope, I guess, Luis Ariz will be back in the lineup once you guys start things up tomorrow?
Yeah, that's obviously the plan. He'll be taking BP and ground balls here pretty soon. I think there'd have to be a lot for him not to be in the lineup tomorrow. So, yeah, he's looking forward to being in there.
And then just secondly, just big picture with the way you guys went about this season, all the close games, the one-run games, the comebacks, the walk-offs, what have you. How much do you think the way that you guys had to win a lot of your games this year hopefully will have prepared you for what the playoffs are going to offer?
Yeah, that was kind of part of what we did all year long was come from behind or, win the one-run games, high intensity. Our bullpen was really, really good, kept us in majority of those games, allowed us to come back or to fight back into those games and end up winning some of those. There's a lot of guys that have been there before to help that culture. And then some of these young guys just started believing they could do it more and more once they started doing it earlier in the season. So, I think it definitely helped get here. And so if we are in those situations, we know we've been there before and we're able to fight back, we hope.
Hey, Skip. The other day you had mentioned, if guys don't have a little bit of nerves, almost like the competitive thing, but a hostile environment like Philly, we saw it, on the TV last year. I'm sure, it was in St. Louis, but just how can the guys manage, the nerves, but also being able to not let it get too much in an environment like this?
Yeah, this is one of the better places to play, just because the fans are so passionate. I played here in 2011, Game 5. It was one of my most favorite experiences. The Doc Halladay versus Chris Carpenter 1-0 game. It's a special place, and I think if you don't have a little bit of nerves, that means you don't care. That's just the reality of it. And I know that these guys are really excited. They'll probably be a little bit nervous, and that's okay. But I think there's more excitement than nerves, and they've earned this position and where we are right now. And I'm just really proud of how they have grown through the season, and it's an exciting time for them and for the organization.
How much do you think the series, 3 weeks or so ago, might have helped? Because it was, a packed house then too, and you won 2 of 3.
Yeah, fun place to play again, and it was a packed house, and I think it was really good for a lot of our players to play in front of that size of a stadium and that kind of crowd noise, and knowing that they came through and had comeback wins always helps, coming into a series like this. But, postseason's different. So, and you can, a lot of those guys in Philly are playoff tested, and they've been really successful. They're managed by an unbelievable person, and Rob, and their staff is really, really good as well. Bobby Dickerson we had, and I coached with in San Diego, and one of the better infield, if not the best infield guy around. So I know what those guys are capable of, and what they did last year was obviously incredible. And so we have a big challenge ahead of us, but our guys are looking forward to it.
Hey, Skip.
Hi.
Good to see you. With Lucardo, big year for him. What did you learn from him just by watching him, not only pitching, but going through his routine, working, and also maturing throughout the season?
Well, I think he probably learned more about himself. I think he always had stuff, but now he knows how to execute and pitch. And I think that's where the biggest growth with him throughout the season is continuing to happen. He's pitched in some really big games for us, and he's come through, and he's earned this spot, Game 1. I feel like Mel and Beef and our pitching crew has done an unbelievable job with him and teaching him how to pitch and not just try to overpower everybody. And he's a really smart kid, hard worker. He's the guy that you want in this position, and we're excited for him to be in this spot. I think that clubhouse is excited for him to get the opportunity because he's earned it.
How crucial was it with the calamity of the last week and the issues in New York and the suspended game and everything to be able to close it out and have the day off today and not have to have that game matter and have to go back to New York today?
you always want a little bit of rest before you're going into a big series. And the way our bullpen has been used, those guys, needed a day off. So having almost 2 days off with the last game in Pittsburgh, and then today having a day off and they can just throw and recover is a big deal. So yeah, we didn't. Glad we didn't have to go back to New York. I'm glad it did not matter for us because they needed the rest. Our position guys needed the rest. Not having to go with Louis again, he needed the rest. So I think all that considered, it worked out really well for us to get into Philly, have a normal day yesterday, or workout day today, and then try to win tomorrow.
Skip, wondering what you remember about that 10-pitch at-bat you had against Roy. Huge one, obviously, for yourself, for the Cardinals, and one that kind of ended things for the Phillies here in 2011.
Yeah, for me, just selfishly, it was the biggest at-bat of my career. And that night, Tony, or the night before, Tony said, "You're starting in center," and I didn't start in center too often. I started at second base a lot that year. But we tried to get as many lefties as we could against Doc. I mean, he was good against everybody, and he hit me second. Didn't hit second too often either. For call led off with the triple, and then I was just trying to put the ball in play, and Doc was throwing everything at me and fouled balls off all parts of my body, and I was just trying to do anything I could to put the ball in play. And that game in general was the best game I've ever been a part of. Even I've been, the Game 6 with David Freese, and incredible come from behind wins. But that game, the way it was played and the way it was pitched by Chris Carpenter and Doc and the defense and Yachty throwing guys out and Chase throwing me out at third in the first inning. I mean, there was just so many unbelievable plays defensively, and the way it was pitched from Doc and Chris was. I watched that game all the time, not because I hit the double, it's because it was so well played, and so many different scenarios that Tony and Charlie could have done differently, and for it to be 1-0 was pretty incredible. So yeah, it was one that I'll remember forever.
Since you've watched a 10-pitch at bat, was there any particular pitch in that at bat where you look back and go, "I cannot believe I fouled that pitch off," or maybe a thought that you had throughout that at bat that maybe you go, "Oh yeah, I remember thinking this in this spot"?
I remember every pitch still. I've kind of got a sick brain when it comes to remembering all my at bats and everything throughout my career. There was a split that he threw just off the plate that has been called quite often, and because it was a borderline pitch, and Ruiz was really good back there and stealing strikes, and so that was the very borderline pitch that I probably should have swung at to foul off. There was a curveball down and in, or a cutter down and in also that was a tough pitch to try to do anything with. He had so many good weapons that you're fighting for your life, and I just got lucky and hung a curveball.
And is there any message from your experience in that series that you can give to your players in this series? Different teams, certainly. You had Pujols and a lot of stars, established veterans on that team, but coming in as an underdog against a 102-win team, is that going to be mentioned at all when you talk to these guys before the series? We
have a couple guys that were on that team. John Jay is my first base coach. He was there as well. We have some guys that have won a World Series on our staff that we take that the players lean on quite a bit through experience. I think that's really, really important. Rod Barajas definitely catching on a World Series team. So we had to win the last game to get in, and we had to watch Philly and Atlanta. We were watching it on TV to see who would win that game to get in also. So I remember sitting in Houston watching that game with Dave McKay, praying that we were going to get in. We got in, and then we got Philly, and we just played Philly too and got our butt kicked here to go back to Philly. And then you're looking at Cliff Lee, Oswalt, and Doc, staring right at you, and Hamels. Not an easy task, but I think what you take away is just get in, you have a shot. And all we wanted was a chance, and we have it. We have the ability to play in a postseason, and we're in the tournament now, and now we have a shot. And that's all you can ask for, because you just never know what happens in the postseason. And that's really the message, is like, take your best shot, because all you wanted was a chance.
Skip, outside of your two lefty starters, you have some high-velocity lefty relievers. Do you think those guys can be a key matchup advantage for you in this series against the Phillies?
Hope so. Yeah. I mean, you're looking at those lefties, though. They're really good, right? I mean, Bryce Harper, for me, it's not talked about what he's done to move to first base. One of the best players, if not the best player in the game, coming off injury, moving to first base for his team and doing what he's doing over there, just shows you exactly who he is. I don't know him personally, but the amount of respect I have for him was huge anyways. But for what he's doing this year to go to first base, and what Bobby Dickerson and that group, that staff, has done with him over there has been just incredible to watch. But, I mean, Schwarber and Stott, I mean, they got guys up and down the lineup that hit lefties as well. But, our lefties have been really good all year. We're going to lean on our bullpen. Our bullpen has been excellent all year, and I don't see any reason why I would go away from them, this 3-game series.
And I know Roy was a pretty stoic guy. In the years after that, did he ever say anything to you, or do you ever say anything to him about that at bat?
No, the next year, both Chris and Doc, we faced off in St. Louis, and it just felt like, honestly, both of them, they gave it everything they had, and that was it. That series and that World Series run for Chris, and that run he had, Doc had also, and it didn't look like, I don't think Chris would tell you that, but because they're so uber competitive and very much alike, those two, and I think that they gave everything they had, and I don't think they maybe were the same after that, because of 270 something innings, I think I read, maybe for both of them, of like postseason and regular season, is insane. So no, I didn't talk to him about that. I don't think he would have wanted to talk to me about it, honestly. But I feel like they're probably cut from the same cloth, and incredible competitors.
Skip, with it being a 3-game series, like you said, do you see yourself when it comes to constructing the roster, maybe pitcher-friendly, or pitcher-heavy, or position player-heavy for that best of 3? Yeah,
we're going through that. We went through it last night and then this morning as a staff, and we're still walking through different scenarios, and the health component obviously is a big factor, both on position player and pitcher side. And so we're still, going through that process and watching guys, throw and take BP and that type of thing, and then we'll figure it out once that happens.
Skip, I'm curious, when you did hit that double against Roy Halladay, did you feel the energy being sucked out of the building? And is that like a key for you guys, just to get up in front and kind of have the crowd sit on their hands? I mean, you always want to score first, but I don't think anybody would have thought that we would have gone 9 innings of shutout baseball with that type of lineup that they had. That lineup was insane. Howard and Utley and Ibanez, and I mean, you go on and on. So I don't think the crowd here is ever out of it. Every pitch matters. Every strike matters. Every out. So I think it's important, no matter what, to score first. That's always been our goal, wherever you are. The postseason in general, I don't feel like the energy really gets sucked out of any stadium, just because it's so intense. And so, yeah, I think we're just trying to score first. I think that's the message.
Congratulations on making the wild card. That was a pretty exciting ending there. I had a question for you. Your views on Wheeler and Nola as the number 1, number 2 starter for the Phillies. I mean, your experience last year with them in St. Louis. I mean, just would love your point of view.
Yeah, they were dominant last year against us in St. Louis. Wheeler has so many different ways of getting you out. There's, with the four seam at the top, he's got a really good, two seam. He's obviously his off speed is as good as anybody's. Been there before. He's been on that stage and been successful. So yeah, he dominated us last year, and he's had another really good year this year, a really good career. So we've had our hands full with him all year long. So we're going to do the best we can, obviously, to see what we can do tomorrow and give our best shot against him. And obviously Nola's been there as well, big game pitcher, another outstanding career he's had so far, especially here. Last year's run, I followed it the whole time. He, I think, went 7 innings against us. If I'm not positive, not exactly sure on that, but I think around 7 innings last year against us in St. Louis. And again, he's got different ways to get you out, and so we have to be able to hunt our strengths and control the strike zone, just like we've talked about all year. And that's going to be give us our best chance. But yeah, we got our hands full this weekend, and against a really good team. Yep.
Hey, Skip, I know at some point, I believe in that Game 5, John Jay actually replaced you in center field, correct?
He did.
There were a few balls hit into right center that people in Philly still talk about, that Utley hit and that Ibanez hit. Did you think those were going to get out? Because obviously a lot of people around here did and still kind of think about.
Yes, a couple of times, yes. I pulled my oblique that third at bat, and I had to come out and missed the next series, and John Jay was a much better center fielder anyway, so I'm guessing Tony would have taken me out and after the 5th, so that was a moot point anyway. But there was a couple times that you weren't comfortable with those big hitters coming up. Those Utley smoked a ball in right center towards the bullpen, if I remember, and the other one was right against the fence by that scoreboard kind of Ibanez. It was close. It was really close, and I think also the communication with the outfielders is going to be important because it is loud, and when every ball hit, the crowd, you can hear it, and so the communication is going to be important for our outfielders. But yeah, that's why with that 1-run lead, you never felt safe because of how potent that lineup was.
All right, thank you.